Mr Tappertit glanced at the article referred to, and appeared to think that the deceased's ideas of dress were of a peculiar and by no means an expensive kind. He made no remark upon the point, however, and suffered his mysterious companion to proceed without interruption. 'These smalls,' said Dennis, rubbing his legs, 'these very smalls, they belong to a friend of mine that's left off sich encumbrances for ever. This coat, too, I've often walked behind this coat in the street, and wondered whether it would ever come to me. This pair of shoes have danced a hornpipe for another man afore my eyes, full half a dozen times at least. And as to my hat,' he said, taking it off and whirling it round upon his fist, 'Lord, I've seen this hat go up Holborn on the box of a hackney coach. Ah, many and many a day.' 'You don't mean to say their old wearers are all dead, I hope?' said Mr Tappertit, falling a little distance from him as he spoke. 'Every one of 'em,' replied Dennis. 'Every man Jack.' There was something so very ghastly in this circumstance, and it appeared to account in such a very strange and dismal manner for his faded dress, which, in this new aspect, seemed discoloured by the earth from graves, that Mr Tappertit abruptly found he was going another way, and, stopping short, bade him good night with the utmost heartiness. As they happened to be near the Old Bailey, and Mr Dennis knew there were turnkeys in the lodge with whom he could pass the night, and discuss professional subjects of common interest among them, before a rousing fire and over a social glass, he separated from his companions without any great regret, and warmly shaking hands with Hugh, and making an early appointment for their meeting at the Boot, left them to pursue their road. 'That's a strange sort of man,' said Mr Tappertit, watching the hackney coachman's hat as it went bobbing down the street. 'I don't know what to make of him. Why can't he have his smalls made to order, or wear live clothes at any rate?' 'He's a lucky man, captain,' cried Hugh. 'I should like to have such friends as his.' 'I hope he don't get 'em to make their wills, and then knock 'em on the head,' said Mr Tappertit, musing. 'But come, the United B's expect me, on what's the matter?' 'I quite forgot,' said Hugh, who had started at the striking of a neighbouring clock. 'I have somebody to see to night. I must turn back directly. The drinking and singing put it out of my head. It's well I remembered it.' Mr Tappertit looked at him as though he were about to give utterance to some very majestic sentiments in reference to this act of desertion, but as it was clear, from Hugh's hasty manner, that the engagement was one of a pressing nature, he graciously forbore, and gave him his permission to depart immediately, which Hugh acknowledged with a roar of laughter. 'Good night, captain,' he cried. 'I'm yours to the death, remember.' 'Farewell,' said Mr Tappertit, waving his hand. 'Be bold and vigilant.' 'No popery, captain!' roared Hugh. 'England in blood first!' cried his desperate leader, whereat Hugh cheered and laughed, and ran off like a greyhound. 'That man will prove a credit to my corps,' said Simon, turning thoughtfully upon his heel. 'And let me see. In an altered state of society, which must ensue if we break out and are victorious, when the locksmith's child is mine, Miggs must be got rid of somehow, or she'll poison the tea kettle one evening when I'm out. He might marry Miggs if he was drunk enough. It shall be done. I'll make a note of it.' End of chapter 39.